Okay, I think we might be live. So, hello everyone. This is me, Dre. Coming, I'm bringing you another video, continuing my series from what I started last time with the state of competitive play in the new patch. I'm sorry this is a bit late. I wanted to do it last week, but some personal problems came up, and I had to deal with those over the week, and I haven't had time to do much videos. So hopefully this is me getting back on the wagon, and this is the state of competitive play in 7.3. So starting off in the top lane. One second, just turn my music down. Very sorry. Do, 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 do. So, so top lane. Going through the picks here. This is the order I've put things in. We have got Camille in the top lane. We have got Jace, and then Shen, Maokai, Gangplank, and Rumble. So Camille being first is pretty simple. She's just utterly broken in split push scenarios, and she can do just well into anything. Very stupidly strong champion and pretty broken. Next up is Jace. He's even stronger now. He was such a good place, and now with these lethality changes coming through, he's just showing that to be a ban-worthy or highly picked champion, and just really, really strong. And then up after that is Shen. Shen has, I think, like the reason why Shen is outshining these other tanks is just because he has that innate power of his map presence where you want to dive bot lane, you can't. You have to go and play around Shen. And that is such a boon against like teams. They have to focus Shen where they want to focus picks like Varus and Jin, and it just opens up the game so much. So that hidden power, that it's almost like Evelyn and Shaco, that kind of will Shen be here? There's such a strong like point for him as a champion that it's hard to argue. And his laning is very, very good now that people have kind of worked out how to maneuver his Q about and block spells and trade effectively. He's such a strong pick, and he does well into things like Jace that and Camille that just auto attack quite a lot. And then we've got Maokai, which is just the best tank after Shen, in my opinion. He's just a really strong, solid pick. But don't pick him into don't blind pick him. He's kind of a pick that you want to pick when you know things like Jace and Fiora aren't going to be played, or Gangplank even. He's just a good, solid champion. And then I've got Gangplank up next. I think with lethality changes, Gangplank into certain matchups, such as a Shen or a Maokai, is a great top laner. Um, he just needs that good lane. If you can get him a good lane like a Shen or a Maokai or a Poppy or a Singed or whatever people seem to be picking, he will do well. He will do well in competitive, and he will come out every now and again. We've seen him a little bit, but he will come out more. And then last up is Rumble, who can be used in a flex situation into the jungle, and that gives him some innate strength in a pick and ban situation. On top of this, you then have he does very well into low damage tanks because he just out sustains. Like tanks want to kind of wear you down, but Rumble wears you down through fights. He's not a burst champion. He's very much a sustained damage champion, and he's just a quality champion at the moment, especially with all the locket nerfs and things. The less passive mana regen, magic resist. Sorry, not mana regen. Knocking around just is a boon to. It's just a great thing for Rumble. So moving on, we have jungle. For me, these are the best picks at the moment. You've got Kha'Zix, Ivan, and Graves. They're for me the three best picks coming in. I'll discuss why Rengar for me has fallen away a little bit, but it's still a very, very strong pick. Kha'Zix had a bit of a nerf to his Q, but it wasn't like dramatically, amazingly, stupidly like he's gone kind of nerf. It's just a little bit of toning down on how many times he can use his Q in a fight, which is big, but it's not the end of the world. And then his ability to just jump around a fight and do a load of damage and snowball a game is pretty huge. So I'd expect to see some Kha'Zix nerfs, little bits, maybe toning down the isolation damage, I think, is probably a good idea, but maybe increasing the base amount of damage he does anyway might be an idea. So you keep his teamfight presence. He wants to be teamfighting a bit more, but he's not going to just 1v1 everyone. Ivan, people have sussed him out, I think. he's just so good at controlling the jungle, and then on top of this, with other picks wanting to come through and being able to be that supporty role and being that kind of behind the tanks but kind of buffing everyone kind of champion he's doing really well at that. He's a bit strong in my opinion in terms of his presence. He can like kind of like he just does his job too well, in my opinion, at the moment. And I think a good nerf would be maybe increasing the time it takes for him to mark enemy camps, or giving him a small delay before he can smite, because his ability to counter jungle, especially in the early game, is like you can't catch him doing it and go, haha, now I've got you, like you can with saying Nunu. He's gone, kind of thing. He'll just smite the camp, he'll kind of waddle away, he'll Q you, and you're kind of done. He is an interesting jungler. I do think something like just increasing the time it takes for him to take a camp, or a little kind of delay, like 5 second delay for him to be able to smite it, would be a nice change. Just to reduce his power a bit in the counter jungling. I think the way he clears his own jungle is completely fine. I think that isn't the problem. I think it's counter jungling. And then we've got Graves, who is kind of shot up a bit in with the lethality changes, especially, but he's still strong with the old crit build. He fell away a bit, but with these kind of dueling junglers coming back in, and farm junglers kind of seeming to make a bit more of a seems to be a bit more meta, with people really highly prizing those with like Kha'Zix and Rengar and Rumble and things. Graves has come back and he just does what he did before. He just absolutely wrecks the jungle and wrecks people in the jungle. His damage is pretty bananas. And yeah, I think with lethality, even if lethality falls off, I still think Graves will probably be about. He's just a good, solid pick. And then next up we have Rengar, who I was going to talk about a bit. Rengar for me just fell away because of his stupid W that got nerfed. It can block CC. It's basically free CC. It's basically a free QSS, which is fine in my opinion. I don't mind that. But it was the 1.5 seconds of immunity, and you have to, the immunity to CC, and you have to wonder, like, when Riot makes these champions, how does this like idea get all the way through and no one has found that? Oh wait, hang on, maybe Rengar with 1.5% CC immunity, who can blow up squishies in like 0.2 seconds, might be a bit silly. Like, it's just a bit bananas. It's so, I think, Camille and things like, they just kind of, how does this get all the way to the end of like the thing, and then they go, oh, that was a bit stupid, wasn't it? So who knows? But that's why it's fallen down. He can still snowball a game, but I think it's now like incredibly harder to do. I think you have to be like a really top tier Rengar player to be able to do it, and the comp has to fit you, and you need that like backline support on things like Lulu and other divers like maybe a Maokai. Like, you really need that support in your team to be able to accomplish what Rengar wants to do. And then last up, I've got Rumble, who just kind of fills the same sort of niche as Graves does. He wants to farm, he wants to bully, he does all right in the 1v1, but he's really there for his team fighting. And that ultimate, you cannot... like, a team with a Rumble ultimate is a team with a way back into the game. And I think Rumble just does so well in the jungle because he just brings that level 6. That level 6 power spike is so good. So just having a Rumble in your team that won't get bullied out to the top lane is just a great thing overall. So, moving on to the mid lane, and this is going to be the longest bit. So, the mid lane. LeBlanc, number 1 for me. LeBlanc is just, what can you say? She assassinates everyone, she wave clears, she duels, she 1v1s, she 2v1s. She's just overtuned. She's got too much in her kit, and that is a bit stupid, in my opinion. It's another champion that you just think that, what were they thinking? She was she was annoying before, and now she's even more annoying. It's just, blech, in my opinion. And I don't like seeing her about. I think she draws too many bans, and they're not really doing anything about it, really, in my opinion. Small little love tabs, but nothing really that big. She's a bit of a problem and should be nerfed. And next up's Corki. Corki still doing strong, even with these lethality changes. Still just bullying lane, really. I mean, I think personally, the reason why Corki is so strong is it's the package. It basically, what it allows is like level 6, you get level 6, you get your package. You're basically coming to lane with you basically have 4 normal spells. Imagine your rockets like your 4th normal spell, and then you have an ultimate with your package. So effectively, he doesn't really have a passive, but he has like 4 spells and an ultimate, is the way I think about it, with his package being his ultimate, not his passive. So, I mean, I just think Corki needs a few little tips and taps, kind of, like, and a bit less damage on his E, and a bit less damage on his Q, and he'll be alright. I mean, I wouldn't touch the Valkyrie anymore. It's already been, like, nerfed to oblivion with his jump range, and now his jump cooldown. So I think you leave the Valkyrie alone. His early trading potential is a bit strong with no items, and that's just where I think they need to deal with Corki. I haven't had a chance to change these around, but since making the video that I made over a week ago, I actually want to make Orianna my 3rd pick and Ryze my 4th pick. I think Orianna just does so well into every matchup at the moment, and she's just great. I mean, what can you say about Orianna? She brings an amazing ultimate. She brings just great wave clear. She's just like the jack of all. Well, she's not the jack of all trades in mid lane, but she just does so well into everything. She's just a great champion. And then Ryze, who is just strong in my opinion. I don't think he's overtuned. I just think his kit's very nice. He can just do a lot of damage, and if you can play him, he does really well. I don't think there's much more to say. His realm warp's really nice. I like his sign, his aesthetics. I just think he's a great champion. And then next up, I've got Jace, who I just think is kind of a bit. People aren't willing to pick him in certain matchups, but the matchups he's good into, he'll just dominate the lane. And it's something that people will start picking soon enough, I think. Maybe moving into IEM, that's this week. So, yeah, I've already talked about Jace in the top lane, so I'll skip over that a little bit. Aurelion Sol, I think, is another sleeper pick. I think people will start picking it up into certain matchups. Things like Ryze and Corki, I think he can do quite well into. But that's just a gut feeling, and more based off anything. He just like swings a lane in such a different way that it's such a strange thing to play against, and it's so unique that it's just, yeah. Aurelion Sol, I think, is such a strong pick and something that people really need to start picking up in competitive. Next up, I've just kind of got the best of the rest. I think Zed is a great, just a great champion with the lethality changes, a bit strong. And he's just there because of his innate power. Syndra, Talia, and Cassiopeia are kind of the same. They're more of a counter pick sort of situation or a pocket pick. They kind of all do the same sort of thing, with Cassiopeia being more focused around late game damage and the other two being more focused around like burst and wave clear. But for me, they're kind of almost the same kind of champion, just in certain situations. So moving on to AD carry, which is a lot smaller of a list. You have Varus, Jhin, Misfortune, and Ashe. And basically, the front 3 are just so strong with lethality, it's not even funny. And this is a real problem for the AD carry role. Not the fact that you can build these lethality items, it's just the fact that these lethality items are just controlling the meta in the bot lane so hard. There needs to be some sort of, well, if you go for the early game damage, you're not so good late game. But the problem is lethality is just strong throughout on everyone. So, yeah. Varus he does so well with it. Jin's a bit worse, but still does really well and is strong with his kit, with his CC. Misfortune, when she gets a black cleaver and stuff, will just rip your team apart if you play around it well. And Ashe is there because of the utility she brings to the game in general. And yeah, I don't really want to touch more about this because I do have a video about the state of AD carry, so I will put that in the cards, so check up in the top right. And there's that. And next up is support, last but not least. And we have Zyra, Malzahar, Karma, Brands, Tahm Kench, Lulu, and Nami. I still think that the Meiji supports are probably the best picks. I think the lane pressure they give is great. But Karma now, I think, with the lowering down of these picks is just equally good at shoving and brings good CC and great shields. Sorry, one sec. To the lane. Brand, I think, with these other majors falling down, has come back up. I think he's a real sleeper pick and something that people need to watch out for. I think that he really dominates a lane if you can play him well, and I expect to see a lot more of him, and maybe moving into IEM. And then I've got Tahm Kench, Lulu, and Nami, which are my second tier picks. I like to think this as Tahm Kench into things like Malzahar can do really well. Zyra as well, because he actually has 2 portions of damage on his auto attacks to get rid of those plants. And then you have the Lulu, which again does well into the Malzahar Zyra. And then, and also, I feel like Lulu is just a very good champion at the moment with the way that the meta's playing out. Whether you want divers, you want a lot of CC, you want big kind of assassin. She's really great into assassin. She makes your AD carry tankier, and she can polymorph the assassins. So yeah, and then Nami for me just is a great support and probably unless tank supports come back will always just make this list. I love Nami. I think she's a real great champion. So that's it for this video. I will be doing another one tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video. And just have a great day, guys. And I hope to see you all another time. Thanks for watching.